Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I am speaking with technology entrepreneur Will Newland. Will is the managing director of SoBold, a fast-growing design and development agency. We had a great conversation about business, about technology, and beyond. So, enjoy the episode, and if you haven't already, make sure that you smash the subscribe button below. So, Will, you've built up SoBold from just an idea into now a successful design and development agency. A lot of people that listen to this podcast, they're very early on that journey. They might have an idea for a business, or they've just started something and they want to build it. They want to hire a team. They want to get clients. They want to get it going. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are a little bit further behind where you are right now? They want to get something going. They might have an idea. They want to build something. You know, where should they start? What advice would you give to your younger self? What do you wish you knew when you started SoBold?
Yeah, good question. It's been 10 years now, and I think consistency for me is like the biggest thing. I do it with everything in my life. I'm trying to be consistent with everything. So that's something that I have done, and that's something that I would tell anyone is like, you've got to be consistent on whatever works for you, whether that be you're a morning person to get up and make sure you're up at the same time every day, going through your routines. You make sure when you're ready to start your day, you're ahead of the day straight away. But equally for other people whereby they're better in the evenings or whatever, just make sure whatever works for you, find out early what works for you, and then rinse and repeat that. And what I would say to myself if I was starting would be, don't worry about imposter syndrome, because everyone feels it, and be fearless, because as you know, like when you're out of your comfort zone, it's horrible to start with. Then the next time it's a little bit better. The next time it's a little bit better. And then you realize you've come like so far by just the small 1%. Yeah. So that would be what I would say.
The more and more that I do this podcast, Will, and the more interesting people that I get to meet, the more I realize that imposter syndrome basically doesn't go away. No. And I imagine Bill Gates and Elon Musk feel imposter syndrome.
I know. And from the outside, everyone goes, oh, this guy, this woman, they're amazing. They can do this, they can do that. They can't. And everyone is winging it to an extent. But it's about how you go about winging it. Yeah. And I remember a piece of advice someone gave in the early days when I was trying to win new business, and I was like maybe pitching against, I don't know, someone who might be in their 50s, like a CMO or someone, like pitching to a chief marketing officer, and be really nervous. And then someone said, remember, they're a mother, they're a sister, they're an aunt, they're a friend, they cry, they are real people. And that just sat so well with me, because I went into it so scared originally, and then you're like, actually, they are willing for you to succeed. They don't want you to trip up. And when you put it like that, and you think of your own mum or your own sister, I love that analogy.
I did something really similar recently. Do you have kids?
One on the way.
One on the way. Okay, yeah. Congrats. Thank you. So I have a 1.5-year-old, and when you have a baby, you start to look at other people and go, you were a baby once. Yeah, and it's exactly the same as what you were saying. Like, it takes away that scary, huge fear. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, fear is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. And it really is. Yeah. It's bullshit. Like, if you just get rid of that illusion that you've created in your mind, then that interaction will become seamless and a lot more easier to deal with. I love what you started with then when you said consistency, because if you want to look at and predict somebody's future, just look at their calendar and look at what they're doing today. And it's so self-evident. But it's really hard, isn't it, to do something once and then to get into that habit of continuously doing it without thinking about it. Is there anything that you do specifically to try and build those habits and make them automatic routines rather than specific rituals?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is transferable to, I guess, I'm quite sporty. I do a lot of sport. I did an Ironman a couple of years ago, and it was just before COVID began. So I was like, and I did the Ironman mainly because someone challenged me to it. And again, I was like, I've got some like awesome friends who can do it, so I want to do it. I want to be part of that. And So I started training, and then I knew that I was training relentlessly.
Yeah.
And it was, from the outside, it looked probably completely overkill. And everyone kept on being like, oh, when you do this Ironman, you're just going to want to do another. You're just going to want to do another. And I was like, no, I know in my head that if I miss a single training session, then the whole house of cards will coming down. I was like, it's just non-negotiable. Everything else in my life, like, I will just make sure I train every single day. And it's kind of the same with going to the office every day. A lot of people like flexible working, and our team, we do 3 and 2. So we do 3 in the office, 2 from home. But again, I'm very much like consistency. I want to go into the office because that's what works for me. And I want to be there. I want to make sure that the team know that I'm going to put in hard yards. It doesn't matter that we're growing as a business and we're getting more successful as a business, because I want to be that person that I'm the first to get my hands dirty if needed. And I think that goes through to the rest of my team. And I think that they know that, I'd never ever call someone my staff. I would say my colleagues. They are my colleagues, and I try and lead in the way that is empathetic, and bringing it all full circle back to that. I'm a husband. I'm going to be a dad. I'm this, I'm that. I'm a normal person. Yeah. And if we can relate to each other on that level, then I will bring the best out in them. Yeah. That
makes a lot of sense. And I mean, when you've been working with your colleagues, especially in the past couple of years, it's been cool to see SoBold win a couple of awards and be nominated for some. I know you were up there with the UK Digital Awards and the Drum Awards and a few others. What do you think makes good software design and engineering? When a customer comes to you and they want something amazing built, what standard does it need to meet in order for you to be happy? What does like a beautiful product look like?
Yeah, great question. My own intrinsic values are customer obsession, absolute obsession. I will be the last person to see something before it goes to a client, and if it's not ready, it's not going. And I think that is something that versus a lot of other agencies. And let's be real, a lot of agencies that are a similar size, the output of work is similar standard.
Sure.
But it's that small percentages, and those small percentages of making sure that across the board we are making sure we hit them. So whether that be building up a document, a 40-page document since when we started, of every single mistake that we've made when going live with a product or a website or something like that, and nothing gets through even to get to me, the last line of defense, before it's been through that. And we've got accountability. Every single person knows what they're doing. I'd say quality control and making sure that what the client gets, and I've seen it so many times before, whereby that first impression a client sees of a website, a product, and it's got snags on or whatever, they hate you straight away. Yeah. There's no coming back from that. So if we can make sure reliably every single time they're getting something that is good, then it puts you off on the right foot. And similarly, if there's going to be delays, people are okay with delays. We're all humans. It happens. People get pissed off when you tell them at the last stage.
Yes.
And then they're scrambling around because ultimately it's their boss that's going to have their bacon.
Yeah.
So, and just making sure that everyone in the business, especially the delivery team, understand that communicating that early, and it's the way you deal with those mistakes. And everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has delays. Everyone has people ill. You're all juggling these things. Yeah. And it's if you tell them in the right way, then I find that there's the respect on the level straight away, and they can't be frustrated at you. They might be frustrated, but they'll be appreciative of how you've dealt with that situation.
This is a quick message to tell you about Alpha. I'm so excited to announce that we have created this incredible new tool which works as your personal AI recruiter. If you are hiring software engineers in the UK, then you need to check this out. Just type in your hiring requirements and click search. It's really that simple. From here, Alpha will identify all the potential candidates on the market. It will then contact the most suitable options for you, and then you will receive the highest quality CVs who are already interested in working for your company. It's 10 times faster than a LinkedIn job advert, and it's 90% lower cost than a traditional recruitment agency. Get your free trial now at welovealpha.com or click the link in the description. A lot of that is like common sense, but common sense is not common practice, is it?
Yeah.
And that's where people go wrong. I mean, putting together a 40-page quality control document is not a small feat, and most people wouldn't do that. But if you have that customer obsession, then everything else is sort of secondary. Jeff Bezos said this really well when he was building Amazon. Somebody asked him, "What's the most important thing that you look for, Jeff, when building this business?" And he said, "Look, the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and in 100 years from now, they will be the fundamentals, and that's quality, speed, and price."
Yeah.
So quality, it's got to have a high bar. It's got to, everyone's got to be happy when they receive it. First impressions, like you said, it's got to be there. Price and speed. So speed, nobody wants slower deliveries. Nobody wants a slower product. But if there is a delay, like you say, just making sure people are well informed, not last minute. They know the minute that the, I guess in Amazon's case, the delivery company is going to send the product, you will know if there's going to be any hiccups.
Yeah.
And then price, no one wants to pay more than what they actually have to pay. So if you nail the fundamentals in place, then everything else is a lot easier. And I guess that's what you're alluding to.
It literally is exactly that. And funnily enough, my wife works for Amazon, which is
awesome.
actually where I got the main line about that customer client obsession.
Okay.
Because I couldn't quite, and all those 4 values that you said exactly. And I see her, she has become a proper Amazonite. Like she absolutely loves it. She's
Amazonian.
Amazonian, exactly. Yeah. She's been there 5 years, and even when I see her talk to her friends or whatever, her family about Amazon, honestly, she has so much passion towards it. And you'd have thought that, she's a bloody shareholder in there. But it's the same on my business. What I want my staff to have that genuine passion towards it. And when I started it, I knew that I wasn't I'm not a developer. I've built the business without being a developer, without understanding tech. But what I knew when I started it originally was that everyone else out there, and admittedly we're talking very small scale agencies that are doing brochure sites.
Sure.
But there was this massive stigma in website development, that kind of still is, similar to recruitment, whereby people go website development agency, recruitment agency, and they go, don't like them straight away because they've been burnt by someone that's not done a good job. And so I set about going, right, what are they not doing right? And again, it was cost. So either a lack of education around the cost. It was timings, takes so long. It was communication. And the communication one was that developers struggle to speak to clients or whatever, but I understood it. So when I started it, I could bridge that gap, and I found that really easy. And as you said, that for me, that's not a skill. And I kind of felt like a fraud. I was like, I'm not how can I be doing this? I'm not very good. But actually, the more I've got older and the more I've built out the business, that's a serious skill. And if you've got it, do not take it for granted. And that's literally how I built my business with zero money. Just making sure that whatever we're charging, the client understands it, they understand the why. And if you can do that, then you're in a pretty good position.
That sales piece is something that developers really struggle with, because I'm generalizing, but they're introverted. They like to work with numbers and programming languages. Their favorite language perhaps isn't English, it's Ruby or Python or React or something, right? But you've managed to spearhead the sales and land some amazing clients from the TFL to Knight Frank. What's important to you when selling? How can somebody listening to this get more customers and clients for their business?
For me, don't sell. Never, ever, 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 ever sell. Understand a problem and explain your solution clearly. And if you do that correctly, then it's an open goal. As you said, we've never, ever done any marketing for ourselves. We've relied purely on word of mouth. So again, if I know when they're coming to us, they've either been introduced to someone we've done a good job for, but it all roots down to that first customer obsession at the start. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's normal. It's I always found this thing again, sometimes people try and negotiate you. That's okay. Don't let them take the piss. but understand them. And if you do the understanding of that person, like if you want to chip me on price, if I can understand why you want to do that, it might be because actually you want to look good to your guy above you because he's or she's saying, we want someone that's going to be flexible.
Sure.
I can understand that. I can work on that. If you are just chipping me
for the sake of it,
yeah, then I'll push back.
Of course.
And if I can understand you, then it's a lot easier.
Motivations are an invisible thread which go throughout all negotiations. But we don't really see what they mean.
No, and I'm also very lucky because I'm quite a little bit all over the shop. I'm a bit hectic, and I'm fortunate because about 7 years ago, our technical director Sam joined, and our model very much is land and expand.
Yeah,
I land the business through the relationship side of things.
Yeah,
and once we're in, Sam's a very calm head in delivery. And again, we are both that sort of last line of defense in the business before anything goes to the client. But when you're doing lots of work and complex solutions that the client ultimately doesn't think that you necessarily could do, or like is a bit uneasy about them, because to them, these are crazy solutions. How could you possibly do that?
Sure.
To us, and they're pretty standard. Anything is possible, really.
It's code. Yeah.
It's just code.
The world runs on software.
Exactly. Yeah. And Sam is very, very calm-headed.
Yeah,
so even in like total crisis, he can calmly talk to the person. Whereas actually, if it was the other way around, they don't want to hear from me because I'm just like scatty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate in that position.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the Cloudways podcast, you said that you were once competing against a much larger, much more global agency, and you were competing for business against them. But consistently, you were able to win the client and secure the customer. And that was because you explained that it was about going above and beyond and going the extra mile in ways where the other company wouldn't even begin to do this. So you'd put together lengthy documents about the pros and cons and which option to go with, and almost begin the work before you actually won the work, if that makes sense. You'd introduce the customer to your entire team, and they build relationships with them. So almost the client would feel guilty if they didn't go with you because they had that relationship and all those touch points in place. Why do you think that's important to kind of go that extra mile to win a business and secure that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I would say on that point, if anyone that's listening is trying to set their own business up and feels like they are quite strong empathetically and feels like that's where they can thrive. I mean, I wanted to empower the people in our office, and I also wanted to empower the client. Now, you've got some, as we talked about earlier, some brilliant developers in London, and you've got clients who really they're choosing between 4 or 5 different agencies. The approach is pretty similar. The timeline is the expected timeline is pretty similar. The costings are pretty similar. So how can you differentiate it? Well, we can differentiate it if our clients think and know that we are a few stops away on the tube. We're real people. We live in London. We are young. We are at the cutting edge of technology, of the way we want to do it, and we understand their problem. And so they came into the office and we introduced them to the developers that were going to be working on it, and they absolutely loved it. And it was literally at that point you could see in their eyes, this is a done decision.
Yeah.
And it's with all of our clients, we want them to feel like they are our only client. And I know everyone says that, but genuinely we kind of run the business like a consultancy. So they basically buy our time, less like an agency where it's more rigid. And that's our biggest downfall is our current clients want all of our time. They want every single day of everyone.
Yeah.
But if you can keep people happy within, keep people happy outside, and I'm just a facilitator, then it's perfect.
What would you say the main difference is between an agency and a consultancy? One of my friends told me that the difference is a consultancy adds an extra 0 on the end of the invoices.
Well, in our case, what I'm trying to explain is I've seen a lot of other agencies, and what they would do is you're a client, you need something done.
Yeah.
It would be quite a rigid process. So you would say, I need this. Okay, we'll send a proposal. You get the contract. You sign a contract. We go through some invoices.
Yeah.
You raise a PO. We go through invoices. We then book the work in. And by that point, we're months down the line.
Yeah.
Whereas actually what we do is we've got such a good relationship with our clients now. We understand their whole platform. They would say we want something, we would do it. Forget all the finances, forget about that. We trust them, they trust us. It's always going to happen.
Yeah.
But to strip that out of the process. So whether it come in through me, one of the project managers, we just get it done, get it booked in.
Yeah.
But agencies seem to have this thing, and it comes back to what we were talking about when I started it, of like, oh, we can book it in 3 weeks' time. It's never going to work. People don't like that because, like the Amazon model, we need stuff that is yesterday.
Yes.
And that guy wants it. And yeah, okay, sometimes we can't always do it, but on the most part, if you are like one of our really valued clients, I want you to feel like we would move heaven and earth for you.
Yeah.
And so like everything is based on people.
Yeah.
Is what I would say the difference. I know that probably didn't really answer the question.
No, I understand what you're saying. What about looking forward into the future? You know, there's so much happening right now in tech, in software engineering. You've got Gen AI, you've got Web3. The world is going in a very interesting direction. Is there anything specific which you're interested in and excited about right now? Is there anything coming up on the horizon which you think is going to have a big impact on the world ahead?
So I think at the moment with all the generative AI, is that it's going to be an enabler for us. And I think what it's going to do, and it's starting to do already, is take a lot of the mundane things away, meaning we've got more time to actually focus on the more important stuff, which for us is the people stuff.
Yeah.
And the strategy and the why, understanding the why, but not just from me as the MD or the PMs, but actually the developers get, like, if they can get to the root of the why, they can use the tools they have to make things even better. And I think that, like, the lower level web dev, I think that will just go.
Yeah, I think so too.
And you know, I mean, good, because
yeah,
it doesn't really suit anyone.
Yeah, with Replit and Cursor and a few other emerging technologies, a large percentage of a developer's job could be changed into 2 buttons they click for very soon. But that's a good thing, because you're right, it's a co-pilot, it's an enabler, it's not a replacement, not yet anyway. No. You know, there are some jobs where you can replace it using AI. But for example, we'll finish this conversation. We use AI software which will automatically cut up the editing, make it a lot faster. We'll use ChatGPT to create the best titles and descriptions, and that will go into the thumbnails. And so a lot of the work that you see right now is already
it's awesome.
Gen AI generated.
It's awesome.
And you believe that's the future, and it's only going to continue to go that way.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's kind of just up to us as leaders to have one foot in, one foot out, be able to see what's going on and try and use it to our advantage and make mistakes along the way and find shit things and find cool things that work. And, you know, same sort of stuff. Find your sweet spot. What works for you? What works for me is probably not what works for you. What works for you is not the next one. But if you find out what works for you, create an engine that works, then happy days.
Definitely. Then it's just about pouring gas in that engine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or electricity if you want to go eco about it.
Yeah, well, exactly. That, to be honest, that's why our hardest thing was growing and getting the right people, because every sort of 15 months we're doing like 35% growth every year, which means that every 15 months or so, people that were right 15 months ago ain't right for now, and so on and so forth. And the only way I could describe it is, do you watch football, follow football at all?
No, I mean, I know what it is. I know at a high level, but I love football analogies.
Yeah, well, I'm going there with that.
I give a lot of them. I don't play the game, but...
So think of the Premiership.
Okay.
All of our life as a business, we've been essentially like a relegation team, trying to punch above our weight, trying to have a bit of a presence, have a bit of a name for ourselves, a reputation. It's hard, as you know.
Yeah.
And you look at other people and, you know, it's intimidating straight away, and you have that fear and you have that, it's not me. And so getting people is very difficult, especially when COVID comes in. A load of people spin up a load of companies, get a load of investment, inflate the market. You can't get any devs for love nor money. Slowly but surely every year, we're changing clubs. So now, whereby we were previously in a relegation position, so we couldn't really attract the best talent. Yeah. Now we're a sort of a top 4 team, so the top talent wants to come to us. Yeah. And when we're using recruiters to go and find that top talent, and instantly one good hire changes everything. Yeah. And it's like good breeds good, and bad breeds Brad. And so making that decision on bad and getting that out straight away, as hard as that is thing that needs to happen, because if you can get the good people in, I mean, this year we've had like 6 unbelievable hires.
Yeah.
And suddenly you come in and you're just buzzing because everyone in the office is like engaging and sharing knowledge between devs and SEOs and designers and having a little input. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it creates a ripple effect
It does.
across the business. And you're right, you know, one great person can transform the business, but one bad person can have the complete opposite effect. So I'm a big believer in hire fast, fire faster, but promote fastest. If you've got good people, don't let them go. Like, give them a reason to stay.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. So I guess for people that have enjoyed this and they want to check out SoBold, if there's one website they should go to, what's the place?
What to find out about us?
Yeah.
Well, go to our website, but I'd say also just pick up the phone, call me. I love chatting stuff. I'm so passionate about people that want to start their own thing, don't have investment, want to understand how to make mistakes. I feel like businesses that are bootstrapped are so underrepresented online. All you see is LinkedIn and, you know, X company has raised this money and everyone just championing them. Yeah. Or X company has AI in their tagline and everyone loves them. And it's actually, for me, the businesses that are going under the radar are the ones that have grown organically themselves. You've got 100% of ownership there and you're in a position of like unbelievable strength and you can use that how you will. So call me if you want to chat. I could talk about this forever. So
awesome. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Mate, thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. I really, really appreciate it. I hope it brought you some value. And if you haven't already, please remember to click subscribe or follow wherever you're watching this podcast now.